All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week to the Metal Blade live series podcast, streamcast, videocast, whatever it is, whatever we have going here. Today, this week, we have Blake Richardson, Between the Buried and Me, hanging out with us. How you doing, man? All I have is a candle,
good,
but
dude.
I can
I'm
pretend
good.
I could. Just,
Man. Are you a coffee guy or a tea guy or anything?
I totally am a coffee guy, but I usually just like crush my like 2 or 3 cups right around like 7:30, 8 a.m. and then I'm jacked for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'll like space them out. Like I've got my designated one for 7:30, 8 o'clock. So now I'm getting up at 6, and then kind of hang out, and then I always have at least an afternoon, like early afternoon cup for sure.
Yeah,
so I don't try to overdo it.
I have been like a energy drink fanatic for the past like couple months, and I recently, in the interest of like saving money, bought like one of those like G Fuel like powder things. That's just like it's like a supplement, but for people who aren't in shape. It's like I twist the thing off, take my little powder scoop, throw it in my thing, and it's like a full ass energy drink in like a 8-ounce little thing. It's dangerous, man. It's like if I have just like a little bit too much, I'll like be there sweating, just like oh God, I need to go like. It's like
those are the ones that just they just it makes your blood hot.
It's like taking pre-workout with none of the benefits. Like.
yeah. But at least it's more economical. Like you're not spending like multiple like $3 or $4 on a can.
Yeah, exactly. Not wasting all that aluminum. But for those of you who are watching and don't know, Blake is the drummer for Between the Buried and Me. Has been with the band since 2005. Started on the Alaska record, and he streams drumming on Twitch. As you can tell, generally pretty great dude. A lot of fun to hang out with and be around, especially on tour. We actually toured together a couple years ago, and it was just such a busy tour that we didn't get to hang out as much as some other tours. But it was still like you and Dusty were like the only dudes that I ever actually got a chance to like hang out and talk with for a little bit, after a show, drinking beers and just kind of chilling. So definitely made that tour easier. That tour was not the best as far as tours go.
No, we were, and that's like half the reason why you probably didn't see us much, or at least any of the other guys. We were just so, so bummed because it was such a bummer and it wasn't so much like, oh, these turnouts are kind of whatever. It's like we felt so horrible for everyone else that was on the tour.
Yeah,
that's why. So it was almost like we were just embarrassed. We were like, dude, we're so sorry, guys.
Hey,
it's like,
man, they can't all be singers.
So
you know what I mean?
Dude, they can't, and they won't. Like that's just part of it. Like we've learned that through and through.
Some good shows on that one. It wasn't all bad. And we got to do Heavy Montreal. That was our first time at Heavy Montreal on that tour, which was awesome. I was just talking about that experience with someone else on this one. I think I want to say it was Matt McGachy from Cryptopsy. Was talking to him on the live series a few weeks back, and we were talking about that Heavy Montreal where Emperor played for they played North America for the first time in 15 years, and right before it just started thunder and rain and just all this crazy stuff. It was
I got
wild.
I got completely drenched. Same. I had to run back because they had to take a break, and everyone was just huddling underneath the trees, and I was like, no, please God. And this was like a full on, it was a squall. It was it came in hard and fast, dude. Yep. Everyone got drenched. So I ran back and changed real quick and then came back and watched them.
Did you guys play after they did? I feel like I saw you guys later on in the day.
We did. We played the third stage.
Yeah.
And we definitely played later on in the day, but it was sick because they did the fireworks.
Yeah.
I guess they do fireworks at like, I don't know if they do them every night or whatever, but they were doing them right as we were playing. So it was kind of awesome. And it was cool because they were going on like from our vantage point. So we were playing and we could just watch them going off the whole time. It was cool.
That's so sick. Yeah, I remember seeing that. It was funny because like I had a couple friends that were like, oh, dude, like, you know, you're like their favorite band. And they were like so stoked to see you guys. And I was like, well, like, let's like go backstage and get you guys like a, you know, a side stage kind of view type of thing. And very quickly remembered that like, oh wait, these dudes are all on in-ears, like, so you couldn't really hear anything other than like your drums from the side stage. And I was like, let's maybe like just go out front, like you guys will enjoy the show more.
Dude, I know.
It was rad.
I feel bad for anyone that ever watches this. It's like you can hear like cymbals, some snare drum, and then like Tommy screaming, and that's pretty much about it. Probably.
Dude, it makes like it's super cool though watching from the other side though, because you don't have like all that cumbersome shit on stage, like the front end monitors, and you know what I mean. It's like it's the way to go. It's the way to go. Playing on ears for sure. For those of you who are
it's like it's yeah.
For those of you who are watching that are unfamiliar with what we're talking about, generally bands will have in-ear monitors so they can hear their mixes and, you know, the metronome and all that kind of stuff without having to have big those triangle monitors you see at the front of the stage pointing at them and kind of creating this like muddy, you know, mix of sound with what's going out to the crowd and then what's being pushed back onto the stage. So that's what we're talking about for any of those of you who are not in touring bands and are unfamiliar with having in-ear monitors. It's the way to go. It's
any of you nerds out there.
Yeah, all you tech nerds out there.
Dorks who are interested in that kind of stuff. Oh, cool.
It's like, yes, awesome. So you just had a kid. It appears that you have brought a new human to this world just over like a month ago, right? How's that been?
Yeah,
man?
she's like she's 6 weeks now. Oh, wow. Dude, it's awesome. Like I don't really have a concept of what day it is or what time it is anymore, because it's just kind of all over the place. Because she's in like, you know, you're basically like feeding her and changing her a lot, but like mostly like feeding her every 3 hours. So, but what's cool is my mother-in-law is kind of like crashing with us for a while.
Yeah, and
she's been helping out a bunch with everything, so we'll like strategically do sleep shifts. So just having her has been like the biggest blessing, like having her help out. It's like, and she's like, dude, I lucked out with my in-laws. Like, they're the best. Like, they're incredible. But yeah, it's been awesome. Dude, it's so weird. Like, every single day you notice little changes, like in her like expressions and just the way she looks. Like, it's crazy, dude.
That's so sick, man. That's I remember I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and I remember seeing like the amazement happen in real time. Like the first time that my niece like put her feet together like this, and just like see like and then just being like, what is this? Like, just so amazed at like
the simplest things. It's like they're just, because they're learning all these things for the first time. It's hilarious, dude. Yeah, it's so funny.
That's awesome. I actually have a fresh niece myself that's like 3 months old that I just met this last weekend, and you know, she's in the stage where she's like suspicious of everything, so her eyebrows are just constantly, you know, doing this move, just just
they do it
constantly
like
unsure. Just
yeah, exactly. They're so expressive because they don't realize it's like that they're doing it. Yeah. So it's very genuine. It's they're emoting very genuinely. It's kind of funny. But congrats on being an uncle, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
you're the funkle, dude.
Yeah, I'm the funkle. I'm the cool uncle. I'm the one with I'm the uncle with the neck tattoos. I'm the cool guy. I'm the Well, that's awesome. So you also have a dog. Is your dog jealous of the baby? Is that's something I hear that happens?
Oh, Rosie.
Yeah.
No, not jealous. She's like really. It's funny. She's like, so when we first brought her home, like we had her in the little car seat thing and brought her in, and Rosie would just like Rosie's. We have this like hilariously cute. She's just like this 8-pound toy poodle, like the most non-metal dog you could ever think of. Like the most non-aggressive, like cutest dog you've ever seen. But she was just sniffing the car seat, and I don't think she like realized that there was like a human being in there. And then the first time that Marlo kind of was getting a little fussy, like the first time she let out like like Rosie popped up. She's like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah.
It's like that's a person. Like, damn. So like every time we're like feeding her or changing her, like Rosie will come up and like sit next to us and make sure that we're like doing it right. And then anytime that like Marlo will get a little fussy or something, Rosie will be like, "Don't need to check." She'll just like pop her head out and be like, "Don't need to check on the baby, dude. It's like, don't blow this." She's been good. Awesome. She's been a good sister.
Yeah, that's rad, man. That's so cool. So I mean, obviously not being on tour is not ideal, but it's like, it must be good for this part of life, right? Not having to worry about being out on the road anywhere for at least another few months.
Dude, yeah, like you want to talk about like the ultimate silver lining to all this whole thing going down. It's like, if this were to happen at any point in my life, I'm glad that it happened now for sure. I got extremely lucky with the timing because I got to be home pretty much throughout Kristen's whole pregnancy, and then I'm home, till whenever things happen. So I'll be chilling with the baby for a while. So it's kind of awesome. Like it's crazy because I hear like, I've toured with so many bands, like so many dudes who will just have had a kid like 2 weeks ago or a week ago or something, and then they got to immediately leave. It's just like, oh, it's crushing. Like it's so brutal. So it's definitely the ultimate silver lining for sure. It's like I definitely miss like touring and stuff and doing what I do. But again, if this were to happen at any point in my life, I'm glad it happened now.
Now's definitely the time. That's awesome, man. You mentioned on Twitch not so long ago that it's like not getting sleep with a newborn versus not getting sleep like on a tour where you have to fly every morning, like Australia or South America, which I feel also could use some clarification. So for the viewers who are unsure of how all that travel situation works, when you're doing like the States or Europe or something like that, usually you're on like a bus or in a van and trailer and you're driving from place to place because everything is within like a semi-reasonable distance. You know what I mean? Like 12 to 16 hour drives at the very most, and you usually get like a day off for that kind of stuff. But when you go to a place like Australia where everything is so far apart, the tours are usually only like 5 or 6 days because you hit all the major cities like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and a couple other ones, Adelaide and stuff like that. But what you have to do is fly from show to show. So like the schedule is a nightmare. It's like you have to you fly in, you go to your hotel, you sleep the first night, and then you wake up, go to the venue, play the show, do like your normal pre-show stuff, your load in and your sound check, play the show, finish the show, pack down, and then instead of getting on the bus and just like driving to the next venue, you go back to your hotel, sleep for like 2 or 3 hours maybe, and then wake up and have to go straight to the airport because you have to do all this stuff like checking everyone's gear and doing all this pre-flight stuff. So your usual like 2-hour window of, we need to be at the airport like 2 hours before we get on is usually expanded, double or in triplicate. And so you're like trying to catch some sleep on the plane on these like 2-hour flights. But if you're a person like me who can't sleep on planes, it's horrible. So it's like, at first you're like, man, it's only 5 shows, but by the end of it you're like, thank God this was only 5 shows. So all that being said, which is worse? What would you say?
Oh, dude, I was telling Kristen the other day, it's like, I'll be tired. It's tiresome, especially having a newborn and stuff like that. And everyone, it's like all my buddies, or friends of ours that have had kids. It's like, oh, get ready to not sleep for 3 months or whatever, and then I know I'm only like 6 weeks into it, but I was telling her the other day, it's like this doesn't even compare at all. Like hold a candle to doing those fly out shows in a lot of like European tours we've done. It's like, dude, at least here, it's like if I get my intermittent like naps, I'm in my own home. I got my own bed. It's like I'm like in control of my environment. It's like, so the quality of sleep that I get when I'm at home is infinitely better than when we're out on the road doing those fly outs. But dude, the fly out shows and all that stuff. And a lot of times when we tour Europe, it's we're on a van, but we usually like kind of like we'll do like the Sprinter vans.
Right.
And so we're all just kind of like, it's like 8 dudes just kind of huddled together, like just night after night, like kind of driving overnight and stuff like that. Those are pretty tiresome too. But dude, having the fly out shows and all that stuff, way worse. And you're like exactly right as far as like the scheduling goes. It's like that's exactly how it is. It's like play a show, dude. It's horrible. Play a show, pack up all your stuff, get to the hotel maybe if you're lucky, like between 11 and 12, and then have like a 3 a.m. lobby call or something like that, because you got to get to the airport like 3 or 4 hours early because you got all this gear that you got to check in and stuff like that. It's like those are pretty brutal. Like the shows are worth it because it's cool, because like the fans are like super stoked because you don't get to go to these places that often.
Right.
But it's definitely grueling. And that's exactly, it's funny, dude. It's like that was the tour that we had done right before COVID hit. It was like, it was Australia, Central America, and South America. Like Australia, Mexico, like Central America, blah, 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 and South America, like back to back to back. So it was like 3.5 weeks of all fly shows. So we were
gnarly.
And we were in the last show was in Brazil, and I think we got home like 2 days or a day before like the travel ban kind of was going into effect. So we lucked out, man, with the timing.
Dude,
got real lucky.
Well, sounds like us touring folks, I guess, are a little more prepared for the schedule of having a baby, right?
This doesn't. It doesn't. Like I said, doesn't even hold a candle.
Doesn't come close.
Yeah, it doesn't come close.
So I have a viewer request. Your mic is crackling a little bit. Will you maybe give your mic cable a little wiggle real quick?
Yeah, hold on. What's it doing now? Check 1 2. Whoa.
It's still crackling. It might be an interface thing. It's not the end of the world. It's you're still coming through. It just sounds a little bit poppy. But
is it doing like crackles like while I'm talking?
Yeah, you're getting like a little bit of crackles, but it's not. It's like we can still hear you and understand you. It's not the end of the world. It'll be all right. So, gotta love those technical issues, which segues me into our next whole thing of streaming. You've been doing your Twitch for a while now, and that always comes with a super steep learning curve, I have found, when it comes to like streaming music or like live performances and stuff. How was that for you? How was the streaming drums on Twitch process?
Dude, it came pretty easily. Like, well, I didn't have that crazy of a setup as far as like the audio port. The audio portion is the hardest part, because that's like figuring like the in and outs and how to feed everything into the board and stuff like that. Like it's weird. But I have like an e-kit, and I'm just running it through a Mode 2 interface, and then going into OBS and doing that whole thing. And it's simple once you've got it like set up, and it's kind of like one of those set it and forget it things. So you can just power it on and it's good to go. Like you don't have to worry about it after that. But yeah, like it's kind of it's not too bad. Like it's definitely a learning curve, but doesn't take too long.
Yeah, that's rad, man. I mean, I've brought it up for you viewers who are constant return Metal Blade live series viewers. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about this, but I've brought it up a few times in the past that it's like when all this first started, my buddy Brody from Rivers of Nile managed to like figure everything out, because it's like I was talking to Devin Townsend a little bit about this last week, is that it's like, dude, getting your audio captured from your interface onto your so that you can like stream, so that you can like record tracks and like play to backing tracks and like program your drums and do all this kind of stuff, like to actually like stream like a live like Pro Tools or Ableton or whatever session, has so much like weird red tape around it that you wouldn't think. And so it's like presents all these weird challenges where you have to have like two PCs, and like you have to have this like one thing for your interface and one thing for your analog components, and it's just like so gnarly. So it's good to hear that your journey on the tech issues of streaming audio was not so much.
Yeah, well, apparently not going so good for me now, but yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like once you kind of get it sort of figured out, you definitely have to spend some time to sort of get past the learning curve of it, because you're totally right. It's like it's not very simple. It's not like it's not as simple of a process as you would think it would be, but dude, and it's funny to like see there's some other streamers that I follow that have like these just totally immense setups that I can't even wrap my brain around. Now that I know how like the world works a little bit, like I'll look at their setups and be like, how the hell are they able to do that? Like just some of these things is crazy. Like they're incorporating like real-time graphics and stuff like that. It's like, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was when all this first started, and I was like kind of trying to help people, as I mentioned before we started streaming live, when all this happened, I kind of started trying to help like the homies that were like new to streaming, because I had been streaming video games for like a couple years prior, to kind of like get their footing when it comes to like OBS and streaming to Twitch and doing all that kind of stuff. And in the interest of like trying to help them figure out some of the musical stuff, I looked up like a rig rundown that Matt Hafey from Trivium did, who's like on top of the world with streaming. And it was insane. I was just like, bro, there is so much stuff here. Like there's like, he had like so much stuff. And I was like, man, this is like advanced user type of shit. Like there's no way the average person would be able to just like jump onto this and be like, yes, my my compression rack and my 2 computers and my all this crazy stuff. I'm just like, whoa, bro, like that's gnarly. So it's it's crazy what some people are doing out there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So you take requests on stream. Have you you end up kind of playing a lot of stuff out of left field. Have you played anything particularly weird or unexpected that you remember?
Oh God, dude, I've played so many weird requests. It's cool because like I tend to play stuff that isn't, or at least what a lot of people request is stuff that isn't from like the metal genre. It's like a lot of pop stuff, but dude, nothing's too weird. I mean, I kind of like, it's just weird. I guess intrinsically it's kind of weird for me to play it, but I love playing that stuff. Like generic pop stuff is like, actually, it's incredibly fun to play drums to, because it's all 4 based. I can actually like kind of play around with the timing and sort of like spam on top of it if I want to.
Dude, I love
you got your Britney Spears, your Janet Jackson, stuff like that. It's just like the greats, the all-time greats.
Dude, I love seeing stuff like that, man. I love seeing like drummers who are more like known for their like technical prowess, kind of just jamming on top of like more like straight 4 to the floor type of like pop songs. Like that one video of Eric Moore doing Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott. I don't know if you've seen that. Dude, so sick.
Dude,
so
incredible.
Sick. So sick. So
dude,
yeah, I love all that kind of stuff, man.
It's so fun to watch. Like those guys just they shred all over all that stuff, and it's just fun. It's cool. It's like they're just fitting so much notes, so many notes into spaces that just like you didn't even know that was even possible. It's crazy.
It's so cool hearing like the creative like flourishes and like stuff that's like, I love seeing stuff like that because it like really shows like the musical potential of like what is in a song, you know what I mean, that like you're familiar with, and it's like, oh, but what if we did this like little like kind of like gospel-y like fill here, and then like a choke, and then like a da-da, like to kind of like accent this one part that like the vocals do, and it's like it's super cool, man, to like hear those cool elaborations. So it's
Dude, for sure.
that's awesome that you're out there doing that like on request.
I love it, dude. It's fun. It's super fun.
Have you learned anything like from these streams, obviously, other than like the technical things? Like, have you been kind of exposed to like a playing style that you like maybe weren't like super well versed on, or have you learned anything from your viewers? Like, I guess, how have you like found the Twitch community in general as far as like contributing to you know, the process of streaming for you?
Dude, I've learned so, like, I've stumbled upon so much music now that I never would have if I hadn't been doing like the streaming thing, because they'll request stuff, like the chat will request stuff that, you know, there's just so much music out there. There's no way that I will have heard every single thing that they request. Like, and what's funny is like most of the stuff, it's getting to the point now where like most of the stuff that they request are, or I'd say like 70% of it is stuff that I haven't heard before.
Nice.
So it's like me just kind of like free time jamming to it, but it's always awesome. Like the things, so I'll like bookmark those videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to come back to that. It's like, that artist is cool. Like stuff that I just didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And it's cool, man. Like it's been super fun. Like with the Twitch kind of community too is very like, it's very genuine. Like, you know, there's this like battle, I guess, between like streaming on different platforms or streaming like to YouTube as opposed to Twitch and stuff like that. But they're all great. But I've just found that like from watching and from following other streamers too, like the Twitch community is like definitely a lot more genuine, and that people are a lot more interactive with the chat. It's almost like the stream is kind of centered around the chat for the most part. I feel like that's kind of what it's about. It's not really about like who you're watching, so to speak. I mean, it is and it isn't, but it's like the chat is like very involved in what's happening with the with what's going on, like on the feed. So it's cool, man.
It's funny, man. So it's like when Twitch like first started, I want to say back in like 2007, it was like, you know, it was kind of weird because it was like supposed to be very like streamer oriented, and it had all these different things, and like people would use it for all these different purposes, kind of like they do now. But it really wasn't until this thing happened called Twitch Plays Pokemon, which was basically like the chat had control of like the directions that people would move. So they'd enter these chat commands being like, you know, up one step or like left one step or like press A or press B. And so you just had like thousands of people trying to input all these commands to like get through the first like hour of Pokemon, but it took like 8 hours to do. And it really set this precedent for like, oh, there's like a huge opportunity for like community involvement on this platform. And I think from there it just kind of like took off, and that just kind of became the new, you know, the new now, I guess, for how Twitch like really became used. And I feel like to this day it's like you said, you know, the streamers are important. You know, it's definitely about who is streaming and what they're streaming and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it really is like a one hand washes the other type of situation, where it's like if you're just streaming and there's no chat like contributing to it, you know, the channel starts to see like a lack of growth. And you know, having that chat and that active community is you know, a really cool part of like the Twitch experience. So it's awesome that you've been able to kind of experience that firsthand with the whole playing songs thing, man. It's a cool thing.
Dude, it's cool. Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun. It's like, and it's cool too because it's like there's like some other streamers that I'll follow that they take it to the point where it's like you can put in commands to like, you know, you can change the lighting of wherever they are, or you can like, you know, you can trigger video effects that'll happen like in real time and stuff like that. It's basically like it's like going to a show, but the audience gets to control the lights essentially. like you get to be kind of part of it, which is it's kind of tight. It's cool.
Yeah, man, it's rad. The level of involvement I think is definitely the coolest part about streaming. You know, outside of just like
For sure.
getting to connect with your community in general. Well, speaking of streaming, so and you know, obviously, I'm sure the people who have been watching this are eager to hear some BTBAM stuff. You guys have a streaming show coming up March 18th, 19th, and 20th, doing Automata 1 and 2. Blake and I had a little discussion on how to pronounce that word, and we were both like, automata.
It's automata, dude. Come on, get with it. It's automata.
So doing Auto Tomato 1 and 2 live on Twitch from the basement of your parents' house. What can you tell us about that? I know you guys did that color stream last year that I tuned into that one myself because I love that album and it was so sick. So what's going on with this new one? You guys doing things pretty much the same or anything different from that color stream? What's the rub?
It's gonna be pretty cool, man. Like we've kind of got everything dialed in now, so now we kind of know what we're getting into, because that first one was sort of like it was almost like sort of an experiment, because we'd never really done like we had done you know, like recorded performances and things like that, but I'm trying to think, is that the first time we'd ever done a live? I'm pretty sure that was the first time we've ever done like a live televised. Oh, other than like, I guess back in 2015 when we did Bonnaroo, they had like a live feed that you could watch. But as far as something that we were in control of, like it was completely DIY. Yeah, the Colors one was like the first time that we had ever tried to do something like that. But no, it's gonna be cool, man. We're gonna be chatting a lot more probably this time around, and it's gonna be a little bit more lax, I feel like.
That's awesome, man.
But it'll be cool though. I mean, it's like, I think it's just hilarious that the thing is, it's like we had the option of doing, you know, we'd talk to people about doing, which a lot of bands have been doing these as well, like doing these big pay-per-view type performances where it's like a big production and it's a live feed and you go to a studio and you do it from there. And it's like, there's lights and all this stuff. And it's like, well, the people that have seen us and they've seen that already and they're gonna see it in the future. It's like, I feel like this is the opportunity to kind of do something that's just totally chill and a little bit more like a totally different setting.
Yeah.
And which is something that I would want to see. It's like, dude, like bands that I've seen live where it's like this intense production and stuff. It would be cool just to see him at like in a basement, just kind of rocking out.
Yeah, no,
like
absolutely.
It's like, it's some, there's some like, there's definitely like an attraction there that I think it's pretty, it's funny. I think it's a cool idea.
Well, it's a cool dichotomy, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, as someone who has seen you guys live, you know, quite a few times, your stage production is usually pretty sick. You know what I mean? It's like usually very like, you know, it's you guys have that like kind of huge dynamic on stage. And so it's kind of cool to like see a more like personal, like kind of dialed back, like almost like rehearsal room type of, you know, type of presentation of the same music. Cause it's still just as sick. That's the thing, is that it's like, you know, when it comes down to it, you could have the best stage show ever, but like the music is the bottom line and the bottom line speaks the loudest. And it's just like, you know, no matter what setting it's in, like that musicianship and like that exhibition of like how sick the songs are is always there. You know what I mean? So that's super cool. I like that a lot.
Dude, yeah, I totally agree. And the fact that it's my parents' house just makes it that much more funny.
Yeah, right. So I've got a few questions from some fans before we jump into something else. So Dave Millard Jr. Wants to know, will we ever see an Anatomy of 2? For those of you who don't know, The Anatomy of is a covers album that BTBAM did a few years back, where they covered tons of stuff. That Colorblind cover is awesome. You guys also did like Cemetery Gates and some Queen stuff and lots of cool songs on there. Any chance in the future for a part 2?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think it'd be fun. I think if we did do one, I think we would take our time a little bit more with this one and like really kind of mess with the arrangements a little bit more and the skeletons of the originals, whatever we decide to do. Because doing that stuff is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that we like we're not a cover band or anything like that. We're definitely not one of those bands that have like, we haven't gained any success off of doing any covers or anything like that. We just do them because they're fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally down to do another one. I think it'd be cool. So yeah, definitely don't rule it out. It's a possibility.
Oh yeah. Odd Arnie Beck wants to know. Well, the question is: you're such a powerful drummer. Do you do any form for weightlifting, or is it all just technique? I'm not
weightlifting, brother. I haven't lifted weights in since COVID started.
Yeah, right.
So dude, this is the most out of shape I've been in my life. I'm wrecked. Well, I guess when I was in my peak, which I'll get back there, dude. I'll get back. Don't worry. But yeah, no, dude. Honestly, drumming is, if you're gonna, honestly, man, for the most part, if you're gonna do any sort of training, I feel like cardiovascular strength is probably your best bet as far as intense drumming goes. Because you don't want to really be too built up, because it'll kind of slow you down. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I just did I'm just your typical gym bro who just likes to spend 2 hours doing chest every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then occasionally some back stuff on Saturday. I'll just do that, but it has nothing to do really so much with drumming. But as far as the one thing that I will say that has helped me though, that kind of crosses 2 worlds or kind of crosses boundaries, is a lot of, what helped me a lot is a lot of rear shoulder, rear deltoid work. Yeah. I do a lot of those now. I do a lot of resistance band stuff for warm ups and things like that. That's helped me a lot, because it's drumming is, it's so easy to develop a kyphotic sort of posture, because we all drummers just want to do this. They kind of want to just dig into their kit.
Yeah.
So it's developing, your scapula a little bit and your rear delts and stuff like that. That helps a lot. It helps helps you kind of plug your shoulders down your back and get you a little bit more support from back there, so you're not overdeveloped in your at the front of your body as opposed to your back. But
right.
Yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Well, speaking of practice routine and stuff like that, do you have a particular practice routine? How have you kept your chops going over the past year?
Dude, doing the Twitch thing has been my just jamming along to stuff. It's that's kind of helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I get to because my thing is I like to learn licks and stuff like that, and certain fill phrases. And the Twitch thing is cool because I get to actually try them out in real time.
Yeah.
But doing that, and if I have time to sit down at the kit where I'm not doing, either I'm not rehearsing for BTBAM stuff, or I'm not doing Twitch stuff, I don't my thing is with and I tell this to a lot of people that I give lessons to. It's if you only got 30 minutes or 45 minutes to sit at the drum kit and just play, make it fun. Don't sit there and do 45 minutes of just singles at to a metronome or something like that. It's bro, you gotta, then it's just not gonna be fun anymore. You're turning it into you're turning what's supposed to be this fun sort of hobby into kind of a desk job.
Yeah.
So but I understand that there are certain skill sets within drumming or being a musician in general where you want to be able to get your chops up. So you can allocate 5 to 10 minutes of a certain thing that whether it's, okay, you want to do some metronome work, just work, do that for 5 to 10 minutes and then kind of jam out for the rest of your time. I think that'd be cool. That's the approach I take. I take a very like lenient sort of approach because that's just how my mind works. But some guys have a very disciplined approach, and it works for them. So you kind of figure it out on your own as you go.
I feel like a lot of that stuff can be like kind of stifling to creativity, you know what I mean? As well as it's like, if you're any instrument really, it's like, it's definitely important to learn your rudiments, go through your like left, right, left, right kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, you have to take that technique that you're learning and then like apply it in like a fun and creative way so that when it comes time to like write stuff for a song, you're not just like, oh, well, this, I know left, right, left, right, left real good. Like, and it,
yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, I'm not trying to be like the drummer that can do the best paradiddle.
Yeah,
like, I just want to be better at drums. Like,
yeah, totally. So
I'm not trying to be the best at exercising.
Yeah. Do you give drum lessons regularly? Is that like a thing you do? And
yeah, I do. It's funny because like, I was doing it, pre-COVID as well. Like in between tours, I would do lessons while I was home, and I do lessons on the road as well. But I was doing them long before any of this stuff, and then so this year's been crazy busy. Like I've been doing a lot of lessons from home, like virtually, and it's cool, man. It's awesome. It's like it's cool to see people's improvement, over the months. Like it's awesome to see. And then and it's cool. It's like I'll have consistent ones that I'll jam with, and then I've got people that'll just do like a couple at a time, and then a couple months later they'll hit me back and we'll hang out and kind of reconnect and go over some stuff, some newer stuff and things like that. So that's the beauty about doing it like virtually. Like you can kind of, it's so easy to connect now and do and schedule things out. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's super cool, man. I was doing vocal coaching for a while myself, and it's awesome just being able to like pop open Zoom or pop open Discord or whatever and just like connect musically with someone in that kind of way. It's awesome. So I've got a couple more fan questions, and then I'll let you go. So I don't want to keep you here all day. But V Karoglian, sorry if I butchered that. Hardest part to play or the easiest to mess up when playing?
Okay. Yeah. So you're asking the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. I think they want to know what the hardest part of your set is.
It's like the same question, but in just two different ways. Okay. No, but it is a good question. What's a hard part? Oh, the one that I really have to concentrate on is what's that song? It's Parallax 2. It's Extremophile Elite. That's the song. But it's got like a polyrhythmic sort of part. It's like I think on the right hand I'm doing 1E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. And I think the rhythm that I'm doing with my feet and my hands, like the bass rhythm, is a 7. So it's basically like a polymeter sort of deal where
like
I'm
doing a
doing
5/7 type of deal.
Yeah, well, technically I'm actually just doing like a 4 and then a 7 backbeat. Like I'm doing but yeah, doing that one's kind of hard. Like that one, I remember when I recorded it, that one took me the longest to get down because it's a polymeter thing. You gotta like sit there and do. Like even doing it slow is like painful now.
Yeah,
it's excruciating.
It's a fucking brain bender, man.
Yeah, it's just the classic brain benders are the ones that always get you. So those are the ones that I have to like sit there. It's really easy to blow that one, which I have multiple times. Yeah. But I guess people don't really notice because the parts like the part only lasts for like a whopping 5 seconds, and then I'm on to the next riff. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Mitch Pugh wants to know, how do you work with playing your fills, transitions, and grooves with all the crazy guitar parts in BTBAM? Your parts always work so well with all the other instruments.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That is a good one.
Well, it depends. It depends, like, because BTBAM's weird because we have like multiple writers. Like pretty much everybody in the band writes. So my approach is different, like in accordance to who's writing what. So like I'll approach Tommy's riffs a little bit differently than I will for Paul's and stuff like that. But a general rule of thumb that I'll do is like if it's something, usually, I mean, BTBAM stuff is very complicated for the most part. Because I mean, maybe not to like total savant musicians, but to idiots like me, yeah, it's hard. So it's like, or at least it's hard to learn. But so I'll take like basic phrasing. So I'll say, because Paul, for instance, will come at me with like a riff or a whole section that I'll write, and he'll like show it to me. Like he's kind of old school. Like he doesn't really mess around that much with like doing demos or anything like that. It's like, oh, it's just like this. Like he'll show me the entire section, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on there. It's like, so he'll just give me the phrasing. He'll be like, okay, the phrasing is, a measure of 4, a measure of 5, a measure of 4, and then a little like 3/8 tail at the end, and then you repeat that again.
Yeah.
So I'll like throw that riff, like he'll record that riff, or sometimes he'll send me like a power tab of it, and I'll throw it underneath like a simplistic backbeat. And then I'll kind of revisit it, and then I'll try to find like the root accents in what he's playing. And then from there, that's where I can kind of decide where it's like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's got this like palm mute thing that he does on the end of 3, like every measure. So maybe I can like syncopate that with like my kick drum somehow when I'm working that into the backbeat. And okay, he does that like arpeggiated thing on the tail on that bar 3/8, and I can syncopate that with like a cool tom fill. And then he does it again like on the second round, but he goes up, so I can syncopate that with like the toms going up the drum set and blah blah blah. So from there, you're already kind of like getting the creative ball rolling, and then so you've kind of got, it's a good tool to kind of use when you're just starting from like a clean slate, just to have some sort of, just learn the phrasing, do a basic backbeat behind it, and then try to find like cool parts within the riff that you can choose to accent or not accent.
Right. Yeah. That's super legit, man. I've like never really heard like a deep dive on like drum writing to that extent. It's usually just kind of like I just play what sounds good over the part. I don't know. So it's super cool to hear like something that in depth. But
dude, and it's not always that case. It's like sometimes, and that's only for like some. And then there's some times where like Tommy will come at me with a riff, and I'll know. I'm like, I know exactly what to play, like right off the bat. It's like it just happens.
Yeah.
So it's trial and error. It's just experimentation with certain things.
Well, I was about to say that kind of goes against this next question I have, which is you're famous for pioneering the drum style known as power slop. How's the movement going?
Dude, it's going pretty good, brother. I'd say that's like one of BTBAM's like all-time deep cuts.
Yeah,
is referencing Airheads, because it's just, I mean, that was like for our generation, that was like the rock and roll movie kind of growing up. It was so sick. But yeah, we always reference like power slop. It's like whenever we're doing like a mix of a record or something like that, it's like, well, what kind of feel were you guys kind of going for? We're all just like, I don't know, man, it's just kind of definitely more like a power slop sort of vibe.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
So yeah, the movement's going really well. We're killing it.
One more deep cut for you. Famously, you were on the road crew for Skillet. Do you miss the Skillet days?
I was back in the day, man. God dang, Skillet, man. Y'all ever heard that, man? Yeah. I don't know why I always think of like Skillet in that term. Like that just sounds like a band name that like old dudes who used to be crew, like road crew.
Yeah.
Or, rock and roll bands.
Yeah.
Skillet just sounds like that kind of name. Like, I used to do crew for Skillet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, brother. You guys ever heard Skillet? I used to tune their drum heads, man. It was a good old time. It was, totally.
It's just I don't know. That always just like popped in my head whenever I think of those kind of bands. It's like, or think of those kind of dudes that do crew for bands like that. It's like, why does Skillet always pop in my head?
It's awesome, man. Well, dude, I'll let you go, man. It's been awesome talking to you. For those of you watching that may have just tuned in, you can check this whole interview out. It'll be live up on the Metal Blade YouTube channel. Head over there, give it a little like, follow, subscription, all that good stuff. Make sure to follow Blake and BTBAM down below at the social media links that I have posted on this video, all that good stuff. I'm your host, Riley McShane, singer for Legion, host of the Metal Blade Live series, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks again for hanging out, dude.
Dude, thank you, brother. I'll take it easy.